everybody, Bald Biker's back, and I'm just leaving. Great day for a new trip, new adventure. I'm gonna try some new techniques, new bike. We're all loaded up. Hopefully I got everything. Not feeling quite as, I'm a little excited, but I'm not as jittery as I often am at the beginning of a trip. But I remembered to set my trip meter this time just as I'm leaving town, so we're now at 1.1 kilometers into my trip. We are going to go all the way to see and go around the Cabot Trail. Hope for good weather, which is very often very dodgy when you're going around Cabot Trail. It's often quite rainy and stuff. Anyway, nice sunny morning. It's warm, but not as hot as it's been. I can feel a little bit of cool air on me finally. I'm hoping that cools me down, because it's just been so hot lately. Usually I'm saying it's too cold. Before you know it, it'll be too cold again. But yeah, for the last month or so, it's been just a heat wave. So I think everybody can relate to that. It's been like that everywhere. Very hot summer this year. So we're heading out, and our first destination for day one is we're going to go to Perth. And I used to go all the way to Smith Falls on day one when I'm going out east, but lately I've changed it to Perth because it's a nicer hotel and it's not quite as long and haggard a run as Smith Falls. Smith Falls can be over 500 kilometers, which is a lot for my ass. So before I get started, I guess I should let you know what I've done here. I got the quad lock with the charging system on. I can't really see it well enough to see if it's actually charging, but I'm assuming it is. So it should be charging the phone while it's mounted, which is great. It's locked in there secure. And I'm using the Beeline app for the navigation, because instead of Google Maps, because Google Maps always reroutes you and takes you on ways you don't want to go. But the Beeline, you can plot the whole thing ahead of time on your PC, convert it to a GPX file, put it on your phone, and the Beeline, you import it into your Beeline. I know it sounds like a lot of steps, but anyway, when you got your route plotted in your Beeline, it stays on the route. It sticks to the route. It doesn't change it. It doesn't deviate in any way like Google Maps does. Because even Google Maps, you could tell it to stay off highways, you could tell it all sorts of, and it just doesn't listen. So that's why I like the Beeline. And the only downside to the Beeline app is that if you miss a turn or go off route somehow, you're going to find that it's hard getting it back on track. And it's hard to explain, but yeah, it's hard to keep that blue line and keep you on track with it. So you got to really try hard not to miss a turn on your route. Whereas I don't like riding and constantly watching this. I like watching the road, but you do got to keep an eye on it. So but anyway, we're going to give it a try. It's telling me that I've got about, if I didn't stop, I've got 6 hours of riding ahead of me. Of course I am going to stop, but I like to stop about every hour to 2 hours, probably every hour, and then more often as the ride goes on, as your butt keeps getting sore. Right now I got a fresh butt, so I could probably get in a good couple hours before I have to stop. But depends what I come across. Anyway, so just as an update for those that would care about this, but the one kind of downgrade that this bike is from the Africa Twin, well, there's a few, but this one is the suspension on the NT 1100, at least in Canada, is manual. They don't sell electronic suspensions here for this bike. So on the Africa Twin, for preload for my suspension, I would just hit a button, rider plus luggage. But now you have to twist a knob and hope that you got it set right, either by feel or by measuring your sag and all that stuff. So I tried the sag measuring method, and long story short, when I'm riding, it should compress from full travel, if it was up on the center stand, like the wheel all the way down, it should compress by 1/3. So 1/3 of the full travel of this bike is 50 millimeters, and it does that when I have no luggage on. It compresses by 50 millimeters. But what I wanted to do was, when I got all my luggage and like 100 pounds worth of gear and everything on the back here, that it still compresses by 50 millimeters. Well, it compressed by a whole lot more. So I turned the knob to turn up the suspension. Many clicks. I turned it up quite a bit, and it didn't make any difference whatsoever on how much the suspension is crushing. So it went down to about 450 millimeters. It's supposed to be at 495. To be ideal, it needs to come up about another 40 to 50 millimeters. But I wasn't going to turn it anymore. I've already turned it about 6 or 8 clicks, and I'm worried I'm just going to do something stupid to it. So I figured, well, it's stiffer than it was, but certainly not as stiff as by the book and the measuring that it's supposed to be. But you know something, I did that whole trip with Kayla and the luggage on the back, and I didn't adjust anything. I just kept it the way it was, and I didn't really notice any problems. But then again, you know, I'm not off-roading or going through any crazy bumps or anything like that. You know, this is a sport touring time now. It's a sport touring machine, and for the most part you're supposed to stay on the highway, maybe a little bit of gravel once in a while, and that's it. So maybe it doesn't matter quite as much, but I'm supposed to have a bit stiffer suspension in the back for all this luggage, and it just didn't do anything. Like, maybe the springs aren't stiff enough, or I didn't turn it enough. All I know is if you turn it too tight, then on regular riding you just feel every bump jarring your ass. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm not too far in. I'm 77 kilometers into my trip now, and I'm getting a little hungry because I haven't eaten this morning. I just had a coffee. So I'd like to just get a little something to keep everything settled. And I know there's a little pullover park here that everyone always stops over on their camping trips, just east of Anton Mills. And it's not a great park, but it'll do. Hopefully there's a picnic table there, and I can have a little snack and a little tea, and then be ready for the rest of my day's journey. What the hell? They got it all closed off. Why did they close the park? What was wrong with this park? Everyone pulled over here. Rotten bastards. I mean, I could probably squeeze in there, but there's no picnic tables or anything, so I'm not going to sit on the ground and eat. Well, that just sucks. Alright, let's get turned around here without falling over. It's kind of soft here. Soft gravel. I don't want to take no chances. I got a big load on. Like, I thought I'd squeeze in there, and it's like, no. Well, why would they do that? Cheap ass bastards. First they took the washrooms out, and then they closed the whole park. And now I gotta keep going and try and find something better. It wasn't the greatest park to begin with, but wow. That's something just a little weird with my beeline. I'm still on track, but the line is red now, and I don't know why the line is turned red. At first I thought, well, maybe because I'm in a construction zone or something, but I'm not. So I don't know. Anyway, hopefully it doesn't mean I've gone off course or anything, but I don't think I have. I know where I am. Okay, so now the red line just disappeared, and now I've got no line, which is usually a sign that I'm off course, but I shouldn't be. I'm at the Fowler Corners, or whatever they call this here, which is the way you go, but I'm gonna just pull over and just have a look. I missed a turn. I was supposed to turn before here. Somehow I didn't see that. Now the best way to keep these beelines working right is go back and stick to the route, because if I try and just go another way around, it's gonna ball me up. It screws it up. So yeah, I'm gonna go back and then hang a left to Concessions. What's that road called? Old something. I got my glasses. Anyway, it's one road past the 400. Alright, I found it and I think I'm back on track. Nice road too, actually. Yeah, I probably just programmed this so just to go around all the junk, you know. I'm trying to get out of that traffic. I like to get away from traffic if I can. This is what I like. So here we are. Do this for 4.7 kilometers, hang a left. I'll still have to get across the 400 somehow. Hopefully it does that. But nice road. Nice road. So I gotta watch when I see these little hamlets and towns. Just watch to see if there's a little pullover park, like something like that. See? Is that a park? No, it's somebody's house. Sometimes they have these little parks with a picnic table, and that's all you need. Preferably with a gazebo, like a roof, but you take what you can get. All right. Well, this whole Forbes Road's pretty nice. A few curves here and there, nice country road, not too bad on traffic. Roads are good condition. And we got a nice sunny day, so, and not too windy today. This is actually a great day to start the trip. Let's hope that the weather gods smile upon us. We're back on track with the GPS. Still haven't found a pullover spot yet. Getting hungry. And I know that if you don't keep your tummy happy on these trips, it could ruin your trip. So we're still watching. I'll pull over at a Timmy's or something if I see something too. Just anything right now. We just need a cup of tea, a little something in the tummy. I think we're heading across the big 69, I think, not 400. I'm glad I'm not going that way. She's all backed up. See, I'm avoiding these big ass highways. That's not a fun ride. This goes right through. I will have to get through town though. It's inevitable. Unless you want to take the big highway, you gotta go through, you gotta cut your way through town, but then maybe I'll find somewhere to eat anyway. So this will be a little bit of stop and go traffic. And that's where the DCT does well. So I couldn't find a picnic spot. I saw this place called Timmy's Diner. And it's full of 90-year-olds, but the 90-year-olds always go to the good diners that are cheap, so we shall give it a try. Because I got to get something. I'm hungry. I've done about 120 clicks. And it's time for a little break. Just a basic, pretty basic meal. I didn't want too much. Anyway, that should help. Okay, a light meal and a refreshment. I would say Timmy's Diner is okay for a diner. I mean, it was your typical diner food, your typical diner seats, your typical diner service, but you know, everything was good. I just wanted something light and basic. I didn't want a big fancy meal, that's for sure. Just something to get me going for the day. It's still early in the day yet. I think it's about 11 o'clock or something like that, so just something to brunch me on. Now, if I can get zipped up here. The clouds have been over and it's, like I say, it's warm, but nowhere near as hot as it's been, so it actually feels a little cool to me, which is nice, especially once I get rolling. It feels like the air's a little bit cooler. It was clear, but now it looks like I'm hitting some cloud. Hopefully the clouds will behave themselves, because we had all our storm systems go through yesterday. Those ones over there look a little rough and tumble clouds up that way, and I'm heading that way, unfortunately, but they don't look like rain clouds, so hopefully we won't hit any nasty weather. Oops, I need my key. So yeah, I like doing the picnics, but sometimes you don't get a picnic spot. And if a diner's convenient, then it's always good to just do a diner too. They're pretty cheap. And it's just a basic sandwich or whatever, and you're good to go. Speaking of good to go, I'm good to go. Looks like my beeline is still behaving. It didn't mind what I did. I turned the app off, and then I turned it on now, and it remembered where I was and everything, so that's nice. Didn't have to do anything funky to get it going again. So, we're off. Just making sure she's warmed up. Might want to put it in gear. Okay, off we go. Alright, well, looks like we're crossing in Aurelia. We're at the top end of Lake Simcoe. We should be coming up to the bridge soon. And this is like, it's definitely a milestone, because once you get across that bridge in Aurelia, then your riding gets a lot easier. That's always the hardest part. I thought that was actually not too bad of a route. It was a little bit of city, but not as bad as what I usually get stuck in trying to get through Aurelia. I would do that route again. The Forbes Road, and then went right into town. Oh, I better get some gas. I'm down to 4 bubs. This is the same gas station we all stopped at on the big off-road tour that I did. Uh-oh, did I turn too soon? This is the ice cream place. Oh, okay, good, I can get through. That would have been kind of mucky doing that. Anyway, let's get some gas. Yeah, that's fine. Motovlogger, you always gotta film yourself getting gas, you know. I gotta get my shutdown routine down again. A little bit out of practice. So I just had another guy trying to talk to me. This is the second one since I left here that have been looking at the bike, and it always strikes up a little conversation if they ride too. But what I found interesting is that both guys, oops, why am I forgetting to put it in gear lately? What the hell's going on with me lately? Put the damn thing in gear, man. Anyway, the thing that I found interesting was that both guys thought this was an adventure bike. And they're like, how's the trails? And, well, I want to get that instead of my Tiger so I can do the trail. I'm like, this is not an off-road bike. But it's funny how they think it's an adventure bike. I guess because it kind of still looks like an Africa Twin a little bit. They don't realize that they've re-engineered it for the road. And yeah, they just don't realize. And so the one guy, I said, you know, if you want to do the trails and the off-road stuff, don't get this bike. You got to get the Africa Twin or something like it. But don't get this one. That was the whole reason I went to this bike, is because I really wasn't into the trails and off-roady gnarly stuff. I'm a sport touring guy. That's what we're doing. Although I could still handle a little off-road if I had to. And I think this bike could too. As long as you don't get too gnarly. It handles pretty decently, actually. For the times I have been on gravel with it, it feels quite stable. It doesn't feel like it's got to slide all over the place. And that's with the smooth tires on it. So if I put some, you know, kind of 50/50s on it or something like that, I bet you this bike would still be okay on the gravel. But again, the problem is in the suspension. So forget going over the bumps. When you go over the heavy bumps, that's when you know you don't have an off-road bike. But anyway.